everybody, my name is Karen and I'm the Associate Counselor here at Plexus. Welcome to the workshop on reducing test anxiety. In this workshop, I will guide you to different tips that you can do before and during the test if you experience test anxiety. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off with tips you can do before the test. First, find your best way to study. Everybody's studying habits will be different. First, you should think about how do you review your notes. That is, maybe you should annotate your notes, maybe you just want to read over your notes, etc. How do you take notes? You want to think about different ways to take notes and the most effective way that works for you and the most effective way that helps you learn better and reviewing your notes better. When is the right time of day to study? Of course, when finding your best way to study, you also want to find the best time of day where you can focus better. What types of study supplies will you need? Some types of study supplies could be highlighters, sticky notes, note cards, etc. What is your study space? Of course, you also want to keep a consistent study space, a space where you know you'll be able to study well without any distractions. And do you study better with other people or by yourself? A lot of people like forming study groups and it is a great way to study. However, it might not work for everybody, so maybe you like just studying by yourself and that is the best way for you to focus. Next thing we have is establish a routine. And here are some tips The next thing we have is establish a routine, and here are some tips to help you in establishing a perfect study routine. First, make a calendar. Some ways you can make a calendar is by building yourself a Google Calendar and setting yourself some specific hours or setting some specific hours from the day of the week that you are going to study. Another way is by putting those study hours. Have a planner, as I mentioned before. Of course, having a planner is a great way to stay organized with all of your deadlines, with your study hours, with your calendar, extracurriculars, etc. Study in the same place. If you study in the same place, that will make you get focused better, and you know that when you are in the space, it is time to study. Limit the time you study. Of course, studying is important, but of course, you don't want to be studying all the time to the point where you will get overwhelmed. So limit the time you study. That is why it is a great idea to establish a routine and establish some specific study hours in your calendar set for you specific to study. And of course, give yourself some time to study. Of course, you want to avoid all distractions as possible, so give yourself enough time to study. That could be maybe 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day. Maybe you'll study a specific day and not another day, or things like that. Remain healthy. Remain healthy is also very important. Of course, studying is important as well, but you also want to make sure you're taking care of your own health, and that can also help you in reducing test anxiety. Of course, eating 3 meals a day is one of the most recommended things, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Fruits and veggies are always being promoted because they're just so good for your health. Exercise is also being promoted a lot because it is also so good for your health. So try to research some things that you can do at home, or maybe you can go to the gym or to your favorite park, etc. And finally, deep breathing. Deep breathing is a great exercise to reduce stress. That is when you inhale and exhale very slowly. Next thing before the test, you should talk to your teacher. You can talk to your teacher about study tips. Maybe they can recommend some study tips specifically for their class, since they are the teacher, they are the expert. Office hours. Teachers' office hours are usually scheduled during lunchtime or after school. They might also be scheduled before school, so you can check up with your teacher and ask them any questions you might have. Of course, you can also ask them questions about the material during these office hours. And finally, let them know how you feel about the test. Maybe you feel nervous or maybe you feel unprepared, so let them know about that, and in that way they can help you better. Let's move on to things you can do during the test. First, we have remain calm and think positive. You want to say things like, I can do this, I am prepared, I will do my best, and I am smart. If you say the opposite of these things, then you are going to feel bad and you're going to feel like you're not going to do well on the test and you're not going to feel confident. So therefore, it's important to just say these words just to remain positive that you will do well on this exam. Start with the easier questions. If you start with the easier questions, it helps you to boost up your confidence and helps you feel more prepared when it comes to answering the difficult questions. Remember to come back to the difficult questions. Even though you started off with the easier questions, maybe one of the easier questions is on the end of the exam and you skipped a lot of questions in between. So don't forget about those questions in between. Right now that you started with the easier questions, you should feel more confident on going back to those difficult questions. And of course, some of the easier questions or some questions may even provide you with some hints that can help you in answering the other questions on the test. After the test, reflect. You should reflect on what can I do better next time. When it comes to test anxiety, you always want to reflect and you always want to make sure you are doing better and better when it comes to test taking and you are looking at the best tips. So maybe you want to try something different, or you want to try maybe following one of these things, talking to your teacher, for example, in order to do better on the next test. What can I do differently? Maybe there are some things that you forgot to do. Maybe you want to start a new study habit. For example, you study by yourself. Now you want to start studying with other people, so that it can be an example of some things you can do differently. What strategies can I use? There are a ton of test taking strategies. We even have a workshop called Test Taking Strategies, so I recommend for you all to check that out. And finally, analyze. That can be when you receive your exam back, you should analyze how you did on the exam, the questions that you missed, the questions you got right, and that way it will even help you prepare for a final exam in the future. Positive talk. As I mentioned before, you do want to remain positive all the time, regardless of how you did on the exam. You should say things like, I'm proud of myself, I will try harder next time, I will make it work, and I will reduce my test anxiety. If you don't engage in any positive talk, then you will just feel less and less confident that you are going to do well on an exam. And finally, reward yourself. You can reward yourself by going to your favorite spot. That can be your friend's house, your cousin's house, it can even be a park or your favorite place in nature, etc. You can hang out with your friends. Maybe you just want to take a break from all of the studying, so hanging out with friends is a good thing to do. Eat your favorite meal. Maybe you can just go to your favorite restaurant, or you can cook your favorite meal. Or buy yourself something nice. You can go shopping if that is something that you are interested in. And lastly, here are some things I would like for you all to take away from this presentation. First, practice makes perfect. The more you practice taking an exam, the better you will be at test taking. There are a lot of resources online that you can try out for test taking. Maybe there can even be some example tests on the subject you are nervous about, or the subject you will be taking a test soon, so you can go ahead and check those out. Second, don't overwhelm yourself. Of course, studying is important, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself with so much information. It is important to take breaks, and that's why it is important to stay healthy. Always remain positive regardless of how well you did on an exam. If you remain positive, that will keep you more confident that you will do well on any next upcoming exams. All right, we have reached the end of this workshop. Thank you everybody for sticking around. Before I leave, I would like to let you all know to please download our Plexus app on the App Store or Google Play. If you download our app, you'll be able to receive instant notifications. We will also very much appreciate it if you leave us a rating and a review on the App Store or Google Play as well. We very much appreciate all the feedback you all can give us. Chat with my counselor if you have any questions regarding this workshop, or if you would like to reach out about your journey to higher education. We're always happy to help in answering all of those questions as well. And finally, check out our Plexus YouTube page for more college readiness workshops. Our Plexus YouTube page is called Plexus Social Media. Thank you everybody again, and I will see you all in the next workshop. Bye.